to my video. In this video I'm going to show you how to do some very basic upholstery, and we're going to make a seat. This frame here is going to be the seat for an upholstered storage box I'm making for a client. You could just have a plywood top, cover it with a slab of foam, chuck some material over the top of it, and we'll call that a seat. After all, that's all that most modern furniture consists of. The first job we need to do is to fit the canvas webbing. This is plain, simple canvas webbing. You can buy this from any upholstery suppliers. And we're going to stretch in 4 places this way, and then we'll do a couple of places that way. I've already marked on here where the webbing is going to go. And you see I'll start off with the webbing pointing towards me, so away from the seat. And I'm going to nail it down with 3 tacks. I'm using an upholsterer's hammer, which is magnetised on the end. And then when I've got it like that, I'll take it back across the seat. And I'm going to put 3 more tacks in. And that's a fairly solid anchorage. Now I'm going to turn it around. Now we want to get this webbing really, really tight, because this is the basis of our seat. And when you sit on it, you're going to put an awful lot of tension on that. So we use a tool called a webbing stretcher. It's very simple to use. That goes through there. Pull it tight. Push it down, and that gets that really, really tight, and then you quickly nail it into place. And then we'll nail that back there, and then all we've got to do is the other ones for the rest of the seat. So that's now the top with all our webbing put on in a crisscross pattern woven in together. So the next stage is to put a piece of hessian on the top, and that gets nailed in all the way around the outside. Having covered our frame with hessian, the next process is to put in some loops, which is going to hold all the hair in place. So we come in about 50 mil from the end, or 2 inches if you're still talking old money. So you need to make little loops like this. There, by the magic of video, that wasn't too difficult. And we've now got 5 lines of ties ready to put the next layer on. So the first layer of actual upholstery we're going to do is to use black fibre. Now historically this would have been horse's hair. These days horse's hair is quite difficult to get and very expensive. So we're using this black fibre. I understand it's actually shredded palm leaves. And we put them under the ties like that, just handfuls of it. And this is our first layer of padding. There's actually going to be 3 layers. We're slowly going to build it up and shape it as we go. It takes an awful lot longer than just using a slab of foam, but you notice the difference when it's done. And after you've had a properly upholstered chair, you'll never want to go back to a foam one. And that's what's called the first stuffing, and that's now done. The trick is to try and get it nice and even. And then the next job is we'll cover this with hessian, and we'll start to sew it in around the sides. That's the last of the nails put in to hold the hessian in place. And as you can see, if we were to turn it over now, We could just put a nice cover on it and that would be a perfectly acceptable seat. But you find after a period of time when you sat on it, the stuffing would start to get pushed out towards the sides and it would start to lose its shape. And it's not a very clearly defined edge around the sides. So the next step is to start sewing in from the side using a very large needle here. This is called a mattress needle. And I'm going to come in from the side and start backwards and forwards, and we're going to start pulling in for the shape. And so we put one of these stitches in every couple of inches, pull it tight. Right, so that's the last of the stitches in around the side, and as you can see that's now started to tighten up and get much more shape. And it's also much tauter there. Again, we could stop at that point if we wanted to, but now we're going to do the whole process all again. We'll put some more bridle ties across here and we'll put a second stuffing on, but this time it will be proper hair rather than with the black fibre. Now for the next layer we use a proper layer of hair. I've no idea where this hair comes from. It may well be horse's hair. That would have been the original material, and then as before with the black fibre you just keep pushing it in underneath all of the loops until we get a nice covering all the way across. So once again, having covered it with hessian, I now start to sew in the edges. And what this does, is it starts to tighten up the cover, put some structure into the side. And as we do the last one on this side, you can see that it's now looking much stronger. And it's a much straighter edge, and it's tightened the top up quite nicely. Only 3 more sides to go. The next stage is that we're going to put the cotton wadding, which is the final stuffing, and then over the top of that we'll put a white calico, and then we'll be ready for the outer cover. So this is the cotton wadding. It is, as the name suggests, I'm sure cotton waste, over the top of which we then put this nice bit of calico. And all we've got to do now is tack that around the edges, and that will hold it all down quite nicely. So as you can see, we now have a nice white top, nice clean edges, nice and flat, and nice and firm. So we're ready for the final covering. The process is exactly the same as before. We're going to put it into place. Lay it in position. I'm just going to tack it into place now, just so that I can check to make sure that the pattern is running square. Yep, I think we like that. So now we can tack that down properly. And there you are. That's all there is to it. There's a few little finishing touches still to be done. Obviously we'll put a piece of black cloth across there just to hide everything underneath, and that will now get built onto the top of the rest of the box, and this will become a padded seat on the storage box. You can see this is the finished article. We've got ourselves a nice padded storage box with a nice comfortable top, nice and firm, and it looks quite nice as well. Thank you for watching my video. If you have any questions or comments, do get in touch. I look forward to hearing from you.